Curt Hawkins. Brian Myers, born April 20, 1985, is an American professional wrestler and promoter. He is currently signed to WWE, where he performs on the Raw brand under the ring name Curt Hawkins. Myers signed with WWE in 2006 and was assigned to their developmental territories. In 2007, he was called up to the main roster and would eventually win the WWE Tag Team Championship with Zack Ryder. In 2014, he departed from WWE and returned to the independent circuit and worked there until 2016 when he re-signed with WWE. Shortly after his return, he amassed a WWE record 269-match losing streak which ended at WrestleMania 35 when he won the Raw Tag Team Championship with Ryder, almost 10 years after they last held any titles as a team. Early life. Myers was born on April 20, 1985, in Glen Cove, New York. After he decided to pursue a professional wrestling career, Myers began training under Mikey Whipwreck. Professional wrestling career. New York Wrestling Connection, 2004-2006. After being trained by Mikey Whipwreck, Myers made his debut in 2004, using his real name. He wrestled for the New York Wrestling Connection, NYWC, promotion. He began regularly teaming with Brett Matthews, and the duo of Myers and Matthews went on to defeat the NYWC Tag Team Champions Dickie Rodz and Mason Raigue by disqualification, for which titles do not change hands. At the next event on June 4 they won a rematch decisively to become Tag Team Champions. Later that month they were attacked by the Dead Presidents, Lo Lincoln and Boog Washington, to set up a feud where they eventually lost their titles against them in July. On September 23 they were entered into a three-way match with the champions, but Team Tremendous, Dan Barry and Ken Scampy, ended up with the belts. After continuing to win matches they re-earned a match against Team Tremendous and won the titles for the second time on January 25, 2006. They held the titles until they faced the BS Express, Tony Burma and Mike Spinelli, who defeated them for the gold on March 26. World Wrestling Entertainment / WWE. Developmental Territories, 2006-2007. On February 24, 2006, Brian Myers signed a developmental contract with World Wrestling Entertainment. He was given the ring name Brian Majors and teamed up with his former tag team partner Brett Matthews, who was renamed Brett Majors, to form the tag team the Majors Brothers. Together they won the Deep South Wrestling DSW Tag Team Championship on 2 occasions. They later won the OVW Southern Tag Team Championship. Major Brothers in La Familia, 2007-2009. The team was moved from the developmental territories to the main roster, changing their last names from Majors to Major. The team worked on WWE's ECW brand. The team won their debut match against Matt Striker and Marcus Cor Vaughn of the New Breed on the May 1 episode of ECW, but failed to win any matches in either singles or tag team competition following their debut on the brand. They moved from ECW to SmackDown as the 8th pick in the 2007 supplemental draft. They made their SmackDown debut on July 6, defeating jobbers Jeremy Young and Mike Fox. On the November 9 episode of SmackDown, they received a WWE Tag Team Championship match after winning a No. 1 Contenders Battle Royal, but lost to WWE Tag Team Champions Montel Vontavious Porter and Matt Hardy in their title match. At Armageddon, the duo dressed up as Edge and interfered in the World Heavyweight Championship match also involving The Undertaker and Batista, replacing Edge during the match to help him win the title, turning heel for the first time in their WWE career. On the December 21 taping of SmackDown, the Major Brothers were revealed as acquaintances to Edge and his lover, SmackDown General Manager Vickie Guerrero. The Major Brothers were repackaged and renamed as Curt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, with Brian Major becoming Curt Hawkins and Brett Major now named Zack Ryder. Their team name also became the Edgeheads, due to their resemblance to him. On the January 4, 2008 episode of SmackDown, Hawkins and Ryder competed against Batista in a 2-on-1 handicap match to a draw in a beat-the-clock challenge when the time ran out. After assisting Edge in most of his matches for multiple months, Hawkins and Ryder captured the WWE Tag Team Championship from John Morrison and The Miz in a fatal 4-way tag team match, which also featured Jesse and Festus and Finlay and Hornswoggle at the Great American Bash in July, becoming the youngest tag team champions in WWE history up to that point. By SummerSlam in August, La Familia had begun to fracture and Hawkins and Ryder began appearing on their own. On the September 26 airing of SmackDown, Hawkins and Ryder lost the titles to Carlito and Primo Colon in their first televised title defense. On April 15, 2009, Ryder was drafted back to the ECW brand as part of the 2009 supplemental draft, separating the team. Florida Championship Wrestling, 2009-2010. Following the draft, Hawkins was on hiatus from television before voluntarily leaving the main roster and transferring to Florida Championship Wrestling, FCW, for more training. He made his debut losing to Dawson Alexander. In the following weeks, Hawkins won an 8-man battle royal to become the #1 contender for Justin Angel's FCW Florida Heavyweight Championship, then lost the championship match. He joined a stable called the Dude Busters alongside Kalen Croft and Trent Beretta on November 1, 2009. In late November, Hawkins and Croft won the FCW Florida Tag Team Championship. While they were champions, Croft and Hawkins defended the title with Beretta via the Freebird rule. On January 14, 2010 at an FCW television taping, the Dude Busters lost the FCW Florida Tag Team Championship to the Fortunate Sons, Brett DiBiase and Joe Hennig. The Gatecrashers, 2010-2011. Hawkins returned to the SmackDown roster on May 4, 2010, forming a tag team with Vance Archer, defeating Chasen Rance and JT Talent in a dark match. They made their television debut as a team on the May 13 episode of WWE Superstars, defeating 2 local competitors. After the match, Hawkins stated that he and Archer had been given a 30-day contract to make an impact. The team made its SmackDown debut on the May 21 episode, winning another squash match. In an attempt to make an impact, the duo attacked Montel Vontavious Porter and Christian on consecutive episodes of SmackDown on June 4 and 11, which they followed up on by defeating both in a tag team match on June 18. The next week the duo was officially named the Gatecrashers. The pair also competed in a battle royal on the June 4, 2010 episode of SmackDown to replace The Undertaker in the World Heavyweight Championship Fatal 4-Way match at Fatal 4-Way. Hawkins was one of the 4 final participants in the match, but was eliminated by the eventual winner, Rey Mysterio. After their 30-day contract expired, they were signed to new long-term contracts in Storyline. The team came to an end on the October 7 airing of Superstars after a match between Archer and Chris Masters. Archer accidentally struck Hawkins outside the ring, after which the two argued and a distracted Archer lost the match. Afterwards, Hawkins assaulted Archer. Hawkins moved to singles competition the following week, defeating Trent Beretta. A rivalry then began between the two shortly after, with Beretta getting the win on the November 18 episode of Superstars. In a rematch the next week, Hawkins defeated Beretta, claiming Beretta's win the week before was a fluke. The feud ended with Beretta coming out on top when Beretta beat Hawkins on the December 9 episode of Superstars. Teaming with Tyler Rex, 2011-2012. On April 26, Hawkins was drafted to the Raw brand as part of the 2011 supplemental draft. Hawkins and Ryder had a brief reunion on the May 19 episode of Superstars, where they teamed together in a losing effort against Kozlov and Santino Marella. After Hawkins beat JTG on the May 26 episode of Superstars, Hawkins returned on the September 8 episode of Superstars, teaming with Tyler Rex to defeat Percy Watson and Titus O'Neil. Hawkins and Rex then began appearing on the 5th season of NXT, by attacking the Usos from behind on the September 27 episode of NXT. Over the next 2 weeks on NXT, Hawkins and Rex faced the Usos in tag team matches, with Hawkins and Rex winning the first match and the Usos winning the second match. From October 2011, Hawkins, claiming a broken ankle, began to carry around a metal walking cane. However, when Hawkins' injury had healed sufficiently for him to wrestle, he still brought the cane with him to the ring. Hawkins and Rex then lost a non-title match to Air Boom on the December 22 episode of Superstars. Hawkins debuted on Raw on January 9, 2012, and was quickly defeated by a returning Brodus Clay. Hawkins and Rex feuded with Trent Barreta and Yoshi Tatsu from December 2011. Both teams regularly played pranks on each other, Tatsu being locked in a closet and Rex's hands being superglued onto an Xbox controller. The feud ended when Hawkins and Rex defeated Barreta and Tatsu on the January 18 episode of NXT. Hawkins and Rex then became NXT's troublemakers, tormenting NXT host Matt Striker on his lackluster career and how they should be main eventing NXT, even once going to the extent of assaulting him after a match. This forced Striker to appoint William Regal as NXT's prime authority figure on the February 29 episode of NXT. Regal often employed harsh measures to keep Hawkins and Rex in line, including threatening suspensions for bad behavior and condemning them to janitorial duty. This caused them much frustration. On the March 21, 2012 episode of NXT Redemption, a storyline began in which Striker was knocked out with chloroform by Johnny Curtis and Maxine, and then Striker was kidnapped by unknown persons, later revealed to be Hawkins and Rex, who intended to blackmail Maxine into using her charms to get Regal to leave them alone. Unfortunately for Hawkins and Rex, Striker was rescued by Derek Bateman and Caitlin. On the April 18 episode of NXT, the freed Striker confronted Hawkins and Rex about the kidnapping, and Hawkins admitted the crime. As punishment, Regal put Hawkins and Rex in a match against each other, with Striker as referee. The loser would be fired. Even though Rex won to supposedly save his job at the expense of Hawkins, Regal decided to fire Rex as well, sending the two troublemakers away from NXT. However, Regal could not keep the duo away from NXT for long, as they managed to convince villainous higher authority figure John Laurinaitis to rehire them as NXT's security team on the May 9 episode of NXT. Hawkins and Rex continued to act as Laurinaitis' lackeys, confiscating anti-Laurinaitis signs at Over the Limit and attacking John Cena on the May 21 episode of Raw. Hawkins and Rex's association with Laurinaitis ended after Laurinaitis lost his job at No Way Out. On the final episode of the 5th season of NXT on June 13, Hawkins and Rex defeated Percy Watson and Derek Bateman. Hawkins and Rex engaged in a one-sided feud with Ryback in July 2012. After both Hawkins and Rex lost singles matches to Ryback on SmackDown, Ryback defeated both of them in a handicap match at Money in the Bank. At Raw 1000, Hawkins and Rex, along with 4 other wrestlers, attempted to ambush Kane to make a statement, but a returning Undertaker interrupted the attack and the Brothers of Destruction disposed of Hawkins and Rex. They again lost to Ryback on the August 6 episode of Raw. After being told by SmackDown general manager Booker T to step it up, Hawkins and Rex debuted a stripper gimmick on the August 17 episode of SmackDown while squashing a jobber tag team. A week later, Rex asked for his release as he intended to retire from wrestling to spend more time with his family. He and WWE parted ways on August 21, thus ending the team. In October, Hawkins announced that he had undergone surgery for a torn posterior cruciate ligament and meniscus. NXT and Departure, 2013-2014. On the January 21, 2013 Raw, a short-haired Hawkins returned on television tapings in a show-closing brawl. He made his return match on the February 9 episode of Saturday Morning Slam, losing to Justin Gabriel. After that, Hawkins most commonly appeared on Superstars and NXT, where he lost all of his matches. On the May 8, 2014 episode of NXT, Hawkins competed in a battle royal to determine number 1 contender for the NXT Championship, in which he was unsuccessful. On the May 22 episode of NXT, Hawkins faced Adrian Neville in a losing effort. On June 12, WWE announced that Hawkins was released from his contract. Independent Circuit, 2014-2016. A day after his release from WWE, Myers wrestled at a Jersey Championship Wrestling (JCW) event, teaming with Val Venis to defeat Danny Demento and Eric Andretti. On August 29, 2014, Myers made his debut for Pro Wrestling Guerrilla (PWG), losing to AJ Styles in the first round of the 2014 Battle of Los Angeles. In April 2015, Myers defeated Brent Banks, in Alpha One Wrestling, to win the A1 Alpha Male Championship and the first singles championship in his pro wrestling career. He would later lose the title, in June, to Josh Alexander. In June 2015, Myers defeated Chris Payne, in Pro Wrestling Syndicate, PWS, to win the PWS Television Championship. On July 24, 2015, Myers entered Global Force Wrestling, GFW, tournament to crown the inaugural GFW Global Champion but lost in the quarter-final round to Chris Mordecai. In August 2015, Myers defeated Pay Padden, in Five Borough Wrestling, FBW, to win the FBW Heavyweight Championship. In September 2015, Myers lost his PWS Television Championship to Chris Payne. In December, Myers regained the title after he defeated Payne in a ladder match. In April 2016, Myers defended his FBW Heavyweight Championship in a fatal four-way match and lost his title to Mike Verna. Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, 2015. Myers made his Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, TNA, debut representing GFW on the July 27, 2015 episode of Impact Wrestling, where he teamed with Trevor Lee and lost to the Wolves. On the September 2 edition of Impact Wrestling, Myers and Lee defeated the Wolves in a rematch to win the TNA World Tag Team Championship. The next week on the September 9 edition of Impact Wrestling, they dropped the title back to the Wolves, ending their reign for only one day. On the September 16 edition of Impact Wrestling, Team GFW, Myers, Jeff Jarrett, Eric Young, Chris Mordecai and Sonya E. Dutt, lost to Team TNA, Drew Galloway, Lashley, Eddie Edwards, Bram, and Davey Richards, in a lethal lockdown match. At Bound for Glory, he and Trevor Lee had a rematch for the TNA World Tag Team Championship against the Wolves, but failed to win the titles. Return to WWE. Face the Facts, 2016-2017. On July 21, 2016, Myers signed to make his return to WWE and joined the SmackDown brand. Myers returned to WWE under his Curt Hawkins ring name in vignettes, stating that it was time to face the facts in similar vein of the well-known Chuck Norris facts, beginning in August. This continued until it was announced that he would make his televised in-ring return at the No Mercy pay-per-view. At the event, he stepped into the ring and announced his debut match to take place on that week's episode of SmackDown Live. However, the scheduled match was bumped from the show due to time constraints. The week after on SmackDown Live, Hawkins was scheduled to face Apollo Crews. After Crews punched Hawkins, Hawkins left the ring before the match could start. Jason Powell of ProWrestling.net described Hawkins' gimmick as an obnoxious heel that bounces from being funny to groan-inducing, while praising Hawkins' performance. Hawkins' actions were also widely compared to that of Eva Marie, in which Marie would fake unfortunate events to avoid in-ring competition. On the November 1 episode of SmackDown Live, Hawkins accepted Dolph Ziggler's first open challenge for the Intercontinental Championship, losing to Ziggler in 7 seconds. On the November 8 episode of SmackDown, Hawkins earned his first televised victory since returning by defeating Apollo Crews, which would be his last televised victory until 2019. On the TLC, Tables, Ladders and Chairs pre-show, Hawkins made his pay-per-view in-ring return, where he teamed with the Ascension and the Vaudevillains against Apollo Crews, American Alpha and the Hype Brothers in a losing effort. On the March 14, 2017 episode of SmackDown Live, in a backstage segment, Hawkins declared he would be competing in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania 33, where the match was won by Mojo Rawley. Losing streak storyline, 2017-2019. On April 10, Hawkins was moved to the Raw brand as part of the Superstar shakeup. During this time, he suffered many losses to Apollo Crews, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, and Jason Jordan. In July 2017, it was revealed that Hawkins had a losing streak of 100 matches, claimed by WWE to be the longest losing streak of the modern era. This was soon included into Hawkins' gimmick. At Great Balls of Fire on July 9, Hawkins competed in his only main card pay-per-view match of 2017, in a quick loss to Heath Slater. By the end of 2017, Hawkins failed to win a match, ending the year with over 150 consecutive losses. In early 2018, Hawkins regularly wrestled on main event and continued his losing streak, with Hawkins achieving numerous near falls and being described as a sympathetic figure at this point. At WrestleMania 34, Hawkins competed in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which was won by Matt Hardy. At the Greatest Royal Rumble, Hawkins entered at number 43, but was quickly eliminated by Braun Strowman. On the June 4 episode of Raw, Hawkins earned his 200th consecutive loss to a local wrestler after Baron Corbin interrupted Hawkins' match and attacked his opponent, causing Hawkins to lose via disqualification. In November, Hawkins competed in the second season of WWE Mixed Match Challenge, teaming with Ember Moon after Moon's previous partner Braun Strowman was unable to compete due to an elbow injury. On November 27, Hawkins and Moon were eliminated from the competition, losing to Jinder Mahal and Alicia Fox in the quarterfinals. Reunion with Zack Ryder, 2019 present. On the January 21, 2019 episode of Raw, Hawkins attempted to persuade Vince McMahon into booking him in a match, but was instead inserted as the special guest referee for the Revivals, Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson, Raw Tag Team Championship match against Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, in which the Revival lost after Hawkins witnessed them attempting to cheat 3 times, allowing Roode and Gable to win. After the match, Hawkins turned face after he was attacked by the Revival, until Zack Ryder came to Hawkins' aid, foreshadowing a reunion. Hawkins competed in the Royal Rumble match, entering at number 9, eliminating Titus O'Neil before being eliminated by Samoa Joe. The following night on Raw, Hawkins and Ryder teamed up, where they were defeated by the Revival. On April 5, WWE announced that Hawkins and Ryder would face the Revival at WrestleMania 35 for the Raw Tag Team Championship. At WrestleMania, after having amassed a losing streak of 269 matches, Hawkins pinned Scott Dawson to win the Raw Tag Team Championship and ended his losing streak. The next night on Raw, Hawkins and Ryder made their first successful title defense, defeating the Revival in a rematch. Following that, the team was largely absent from television, making only one appearance on WWE programming during the month of May, a loss to the Viking Raiders on the May 6 episode of Raw. On the June 10 episode of Raw, Ryder and Hawkins dropped the titles back to the Revival in a tag team triple threat match, which also involved the Usos. Other media. Hawkins' first venture into YouTube came in the form of a short-lived YouTube series called Callan Spots with Curt Hawkins, which lasted only 2 episodes. His first video has since been deleted but has kept up his second video where he thanks Edge for giving him his first opportunity in WWE, which was being part of La Familia, and for being a friend and mentor. Hawkins also appeared in Zack Ryder's YouTube series, Z. True Long Island Story. After sporadically appearing on the show, he became a regular on the show. Hawkins and Rex have appeared on the show together also. One of Hawkins' most memorable segments came after Zack Ryder started to use a cane on his show. Scott Stanford, another regular on the show, has come up to Hawkins and Rex saying that they are using the Browski cane. This has annoyed the pair on every occasion, stating that Hawkins used a cane first. Hawkins and Rex created an animated YouTube series called Midcard Mafia in 2011, but the show upset WWE management, so Hawkins and Rex cancelled the series and removed the uploaded shows. Hawkins also appeared in multiple episodes of WWE Inbox, a show where superstars and divas answer questions submitted by fans on Twitter. On episode 5 of Santino Marella's Foreign Exchange, Marella and Yoshi Tatsu gave him their spare change after seeing him wearing his Change for NXT shirt. Hawkins was also a supporting actor in the film, Romance, in the Digital Age. In 2018, Hawkins started a podcast with Zack Ryder about wrestling figures called the Major Wrestling Figures Podcast. Video games. Curt Hawkins made his video game debut in WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2009. He later returned to the series in WWE 2K18. He also appears in WWE 2K19 and the mobile game WWE Supercard. Personal life. While he was inactive in WWE, in 2014, Myers and Pat Buck opened a wrestling school in Hicksville, New York called Create a Pro Wrestling Academy. Myers married his longtime girlfriend, Lizzie Karcher, on October 9, 2015. The couple have a daughter together, born on June 14, 2017, named Mackenzie. He is also good friends with Zack Ryder and Trent Barretta in real life as they trained together during the early years of their careers. Championships and accomplishments.